The Collective Rights of Official Language Groups.
By Dexter, Addie, and Sean.
Anglophone. The word Anglophone is defined as English speaking. Anyone who has their first language as English is considered an Anglophone. Or if English is the language you generally speak and write in and use at home, you're also considered an Anglophone. Some people define Anglophone as just being able to speak English fluently as well.
Francophone. The word francophone is like anglophone in the way that they both basically describe the same thing, except for the fact that francophones are people that are French speaking instead of English speaking. People who genuinely speak French and write in it are considered francophones. You do not have to be a French citizen to be a francophone. Official language minority. Official language minority represents the people whose chosen official language is not the same as the language that the majority of the province or territory they live in speaks. An example of this is a French-speaking person in Edmonton. While French is an official language of Canada, the majority of Edmonton still speak English. An opposite scenario of this is an English-speaking person in Quebec.
Languages spoken by the majority of Canada, 2001. At the time this map was created, the majority of Canada spoke English, a minority spoke French, and a small portion in Nunavut spoke Inuit. Inuktitut.
Top 10 non-English mother tongues. 2006 to 2016. These are the top mother tongues. You might be asking, what are mother tongues? Mother tongues can be known as the language you grew up with, or also known as your first language. The chart on the right shows that the longer immigrants work in Canada, the more likely English or French is the primary language at work.
Charter rights of official language groups. In 10 provinces and 3 territories, the official language of the majority is English. Hundreds of decisions have been made by the Canadian courts. They apply the charter, which brings principles into Canadian laws and values reinforced into society. For example, you have the right to speak in your own language and the right to be educated in your own language. You also have the right to listen to media broadcasts in your own language.
What Canada and New Brunswick must legally do. Canada and New Brunswick must allow both English and French to be used in government. Publish laws and documents in both languages. They must provide federal and provincial services in both languages. The rest of Canada are free to choose what language they would like to use based on provincial/territorial rules. Some provinces provide a more of a unilingual approach.
Charter rights of minority language education rights. Section 23 guarantees the right to minority language education. The citizens of Canada whom child that takes secondary or primary education in English or French have the right for their children to receive secondary or primary schools in the same language.
Bill 96. Bill 96 allows for provinces to enforce a law that makes businesses and operations in the province of Quebec not shame employees for not having proper knowledge of a language they are not familiar with, and not to harass them for exercising their rights. The bill makes it clear that French is the default language that is used in Quebec, though under some circumstances, English is accepted. If someone is an immigrant that hasn't lived in Quebec for over 6 months, they are not fully expected to know French. However, the law also doesn't apply to historic Anglophones. Bill 96 was made to fight Anglicism.
Credits.
Here are credits.